Daniel was a man in his late 30s, known for his steady demeanor and kind heart. He had spent most of his adult life focusing on his career, building a stable life for himself. He had a modest home, a reliable job, and a few close friends, but something was missing: companionship. Deep down, Daniel longed for a family of his own, someone to share his life with. One day, while at a friend's gathering, Daniel met Sarah. She was a beautiful woman with an infectious laugh and a warmth that drew people in. What stood out most to Daniel, though, was her resilience. Sarah was a single mother raising 3 children on her own: Emma, a thoughtful 12-year-old, Jake, a curious and energetic 9-year-old, and little Lily, who had just turned 4. Despite the challenges she faced as a single parent, Sarah radiated strength and grace. Over time, Daniel and Sarah started seeing more of each other. What began as friendly conversations soon turned into long, heartfelt talks about life, love, and family. Daniel admired how dedicated she was to her children, and Sarah found comfort in Daniel's steady presence. They began dating, and slowly, Daniel became a part of Sarah's world. He would visit their home often, helping with little tasks like fixing the broken fence in the backyard or assembling furniture for the kids' rooms. Emma, Jake, and Lily adored him. He would take them to the park, help them with homework, and read bedtime stories. Daniel wasn't just dating Sarah anymore. He was becoming part of the family. He loved seeing how the kids' faces lit up when he walked through the door, and he began to imagine a future where they were his own. After a year of dating, Daniel felt deeply connected to Sarah and her children. He believed they could be a happy family, and so he decided to propose. On a quiet evening, he took Sarah out to dinner at their favorite restaurant. Over dessert, he pulled out a ring and asked her to marry him. Tears welled in Sarah's eyes as she said yes. They embraced, their future looking bright, filled with love and the promise of a life together. Soon after the engagement, Sarah found out she was pregnant. The news came as a surprise to both of them. Daniel had always wanted children of his own, and now he had the chance to raise not just Sarah's kids, but his own child as well. The pregnancy brought a mix of joy and anxiety. For Sarah, it was a new chapter, one that deepened her bond with Daniel, while for Daniel, it was a moment of excitement but also growing uncertainty. As the months passed, Daniel found himself feeling more and more pressure. He realized that marrying Sarah wasn't just about the two of them. It meant becoming a father to 4 children overnight. His feelings of doubt grew, despite his love for Sarah and her kids. The weight of responsibility began to take its toll. He started to question whether he was truly ready to take on this role. He tried to ignore these doubts, convincing himself that everything would fall into place once the baby arrived. But deep down, Daniel knew he wasn't ready for the demands of being a husband and father to 4 children, including a newborn. He had no experience with parenting, and the thought of having to suddenly support a family of 6 terrified him. The baby, a boy they named Noah, was born on a crisp autumn evening. As Daniel held his son for the first time, he felt an overwhelming sense of love and responsibility. He knew he loved Noah deeply, just as he cared for Emma, Jake, and Lily, but the doubts he had been harboring grew stronger. Being a part of Sarah's life and her children's lives was one thing, but the reality of becoming their father full-time weighed heavily on his heart. In the weeks that followed Noah's birth, Daniel found himself withdrawing. He spent less time at Sarah's house, often coming up with excuses for why he couldn't stay the night or help out with the kids. Sarah noticed the change, and though she tried to be understanding, the distance between them was undeniable. One evening, after putting the kids to bed, Sarah sat Daniel down. She could sense that something was wrong. Her voice was soft but direct as she asked, "Daniel, what's going on? You've been pulling away. Is everything all right?" Daniel's heart sank. He had been dreading this conversation but knew it was inevitable. He took a deep breath and began to speak. "Sarah, I love you. I love the kids, and I love Noah, but I need to be honest with you. I'm not sure I'm ready for this." Tears filled Sarah's eyes as she listened. "What do you mean? You asked me to marry you, and now we have a child together. How can you not be ready?" "I thought I was," Daniel replied, his voice trembling. "I wanted to be, but now that we're here, it's all so overwhelming. I don't know if I can handle being a father to 4 kids. I don't know if I'm cut out for this life." Sarah was heartbroken, She had believed in Daniel, in the family they were building together. "So what are you saying?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Daniel looked down at his hands, struggling to find the right words. "I don't want to hurt you or the kids, but I can't go through with the marriage. I'm not ready to be the husband and father you all deserve. I thought I could be, but instead, I'm not." The room fell silent. Sarah wiped away her tears and took a deep breath. She knew Daniel's words came from a place of honesty, but it didn't make the pain any easier to bear. She had opened her heart to him, let him into her children's lives, and now he was walking away. "I understand," Sarah finally said, her voice calm but filled with sadness. "I appreciate you being honest, even though it hurts, but we can't go on like this." With heavy hearts, they agreed to part ways. Daniel moved out of Sarah's life, though he promised to remain in Noah's. He wanted to be there for his son, even if he couldn't be the father figure Emma, Jake, and Lily had hoped he would be. In the end, Daniel chose not to marry Sarah. He realized that while he loved her and cared deeply for her children, he wasn't ready for the lifelong commitment and responsibilities that came with blending their families. He remained in Noah's life as much as he could, but he knew that stepping away from the marriage was the best decision for everyone involved. As the years passed, Daniel looked back on his time with Sarah with a mixture of regret and relief. He learned that love, while powerful, wasn't enough to overcome the challenges he wasn't prepared for. It was a painful lesson, but one that taught him the importance of knowing his limits before making promises he couldn't keep.